It's always an extra special time in the world of motorcycling when Ducati comes out with a new generation of its flagship superbike. This is it. This is the new generation Panigale V4 S, and the bike has been out internationally for a while. You're probably already aware of it. So what I'll do is I'll give you a brief overview of what's new with this bike, and then we'll get to the riding aspect. Now, while I'm talking to you, there are some bikes on the track, so you're going to get to hear it. All right. What's different is, I think we'll stop. Okay, let's start with the engine that made that sound. It is the similar 1100cc V4. Power is now up to 216 horsepower, and somehow Ducati has managed to make it Euro 5 plus emissions compliant. And that is just incredible that they're able to make this kind of power while still being emissions compliant. Bigger changes are happening with the chassis. It's a new front frame, which they say has been engineered to give it 40% less lateral stiffness, and the same story goes for that swing arm. Now, this swing arm has really divided opinions online. People love the single-sided swing arm on the original Ducatis. This is no longer that. We need to get over it. The reason they've changed to it is because it's lighter, it's got reduced stiffness, it gives the rider better feedback, and it also helps them to position the foot pegs slightly further in. All of these changes are to make the bike easier to ride. Other changes that go in that direction are the new design and aerodynamic aspects of the bike. It's got a larger frontal area, integrated winglets in the design. These panels stick out a little more, again to give the rider better wind protection when they're going down the straight. The riding position has also been revised, and the big change is that the profile of the fuel tank is now a longer V, which gives you a really good lock-on when you're on the bike. This really helped me. The second thing that's nice is that there's more room for taller riders, which was not the case with the previous Panigale, so I can really get down there. Ducati has also tried to make it in such a way that there's enough room for the rider's elbows to fit in front of their knees, and for most riders this actually happens to be the case, but for me it still sticks out just a little, but I'm really tall. That is what the ergonomic changes are. There are new electronics on the bike as well. It's a bigger screen, lots of interesting electronics happening there, the usual wheelie control, traction control, those kind of things. They've also got a new ECBS, and like our Indian bikes, it is combined brakes where when you put an input on the front, it brings in the rear as well, but this works very differently. It helps tighten the line when you're going through a corner. The top level racers in the world use the rear brake a lot on their race bikes. Us normal riders don't have the mental capacity to try and do that when you're going so fast, so Ducati is helping you with that. Now, I am not going to talk about what the riding was like. Instead, we're going to try and do something different. We have 3 sessions of riding today, and after every session, I'm just going to come and pick up my action camera and give you a real-time feeling of what it was like after that session. So let's cut to that. Session 1, we had a 15-minute ride, just got into the pits. That's some of the bikes going by in the background. First impressions are the bike really feels more agile, more spacious is something I noticed, and it feels friendly in a way I don't remember the Panigale being that welcoming on the first session. Part of it is down to the fact that we're on a very wide track with good sightlines, so you're not lost, you're not confused about where you are and how fast you can go. The only thing that I found difficult on the bike in the first session was just how fast it is. Good lord. I have ridden here before on a fast machine. It was a TVS ARRC race bike. It does 210 kilometers an hour plus. Very light machine, really quite quick. I remember there being 2 long straights on this track, and my first session with the Panigale, I don't remember those straights. The bike just chews to the straights so fast, and then you get to braking points, and man, that is what I need to reprogram my mind to just how quick this thing is. But that was a good first session. We started in sport mode, which restricts the power a little in the first few gears, which gives you slightly gentler throttle response, which is still really quite aggressive. And I think we'll up it as we go out more through the day. They're going to be short sessions, 15 minutes each, and we have a long gap between the sessions because there are a lot of riders. There are customers and journalists here. The DRE event is quite a fascinating event because you get to mix with very famous riders, like this gentleman walking out here. That is Tetsuya Harada. He is an ex-250cc world champion. He's riding with us. So that's the kind of crowd you get to mix with at the DRE events, and that is what makes them so unique. Well, anyway, that's my sort of feedback from the first session. let's see what it's like as the day progresses. Session 2 in the bag. I am feeling better on the bike for sure. We went out in sport mode again, and this time could feel the limitations of sport mode, in that when you exit corners in a gear higher, you know the engine is being slightly restricted in maybe first and second gear. And also on the brakes, these brakes are unbelievable. I'm braking as late as I dare right now, and it's still so much more to go. You can release the brake and carry the bike, roll the bike into the corner. This session was hotter, you see it on my face. Hotter in terms of weather conditions, and also the bike. I didn't really notice it. Ow, sunblock in the eyes. I didn't really notice it on the session, but on the cool down lap, there's a lot of heat coming off the left side of the bike on your under thigh, and it was hot. It was only 11 o'clock in the morning. Next session's going to be at 12:30 noon. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, but the next time we're going to change to race mode. We're going to see what it's like. Again, observations on the bike are that it just feels easier than before, and I think one of the big reasons, two reasons it feels easier. One is the riding position. I still feel like it's tight, race tight from feet to hips, so my hips are feeling a little sore and I'm not in the best shape, but the cockpit is so much more roomy. It's giving me space to get down comfortably, give myself a breather on the track, loosen up, which I wasn't getting on the first session. Weirdly enough, after the first session, my arms were feeling really tight. Not so much in the second session, felt better. Also getting used to the track. The other thing that makes this bike just so much easier is the chassis. It is, my overwhelming memory of the original Panigale V4 was that it was so stiff and race bike-like that a rider like me just couldn't put hard enough inputs into the corners to make it work. It felt like you had to really load the suspension on the brakes, carry a massive amount of speed in the corner, and load the whole bike up to make it work the way it's designed to work. And Ducati, to their credit, has been constantly trying to ease the bike over the years, and I think this is the biggest step they've made. The chassis doesn't feel like it's fighting me. It feels like it's encouraging me. I do think the bike is a little too soft right now, so it could turn better if the suspension's firmed up. We've got Öhlins ECE3. Very few bikes on the planet right now have it, and Ducati says that it's got different kind of valves in there, which allows a broader range of damping adjustability, so it can go even more soft than the old bike, but it can also go even more firm for the racetrack. So that's something that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Like I said, the brakes are just mega, unbelievable brakes. But I am enjoying this. That was a wrap on session 3, and to sum it up lightly, I have never enjoyed riding a Panigale as much as those few laps. We switched to race mode, everything got firmer, the engine definitely felt more alive, but even in race mode B, it's not giving you full mad power. It is more than sport, but if you really want to unleash it, you have to go into the menus, and we haven't had the time to do that today. But race mode made the bike in a strange way even easier and even more encouraging, because it's not diving as much under the brakes. It's turning in a lot faster, it's holding the line much better, and part of it I think is because the suspension is firmer now and giving you more support and feedback, but it's also that ECBS braking system that's helping the bike slow down with less effort and turn nicely. I got to follow Michele Piro for that session. He was just dawdling for his standards, but it was fast, clean laps, no moments. Some of the best track laps I've ever had. It's really been a fantastic ride. I'm still trying to put my thoughts together, but those few laps were mega. Love them. It was fast, it was flowing, it wasn't on the limit. Bike never did anything to scare me. We were on Supercorsa tires, not slicks. And even these new gen Pirelli Supercorsa V4s are so good. So good. Not a moment, not a need for more at the level that I was riding at. And fabulous. Now it's time to conclude, but first, such a good sound. It's the MotoGP sound that it always was, but the interesting thing is this bike does seem to be a little quieter than the one before it. What I will say though is that The Panigale V4 is now so much more friendly and encouraging than it used to be. It's a big step up in terms of how agile and easy and encouraging this bike is. All the previous gen Panigale V4s that I've ridden, the incremental updates have been easier, but they're not easy. This one has made a big step up in that regard, and while the old bike was always this wow machine that blew your mind, it never really had me feeling good as a rider and how I was riding. This bike does that. I have never enjoyed riding a Panigale as much as I have today, and while I used to think the S1000RR was easier to ride, I don't think that's the case anymore. You can go very fast on this bike and still have an easy time, still feel confident about what you're doing. The bike won't scare you, and that's amazing. Before we end, we must talk about price. Ducatis have become more and more premium as the years go by, and this one is 36.5 lakh rupees ex-showroom India. It's about almost 10 lakhs more than the equivalent S1000RR. Is it worth 10 lakhs more? Well, subjectively, if you put on paper, probably not. But what I can tell you is that this is a much more special feeling bike in the smaller details. There is great lineage with this motorcycle, and there's also a sense of belonging with Ducati. The event we're at, for example, this is a DRE, which is something that customers can get to do as well. And it's unique in the world of motorcycling because you as a customer can pay for a seat, come to an exotic racetrack like this and ride with Ducati legends. At this very event, we have 250cc world champion Tetsuya Harada. We've got current Ducati development rider, test rider for the MotoGP team, Michele Pirro, who was my leader on this ride, and it was incredible to follow him. It's just amazing to know that you're behind a rider of that caliber, even though you can never match him. It's just such a special feeling. And that is what Ducati is all about. It is a very premium brand. If you can afford it, I can tell you that you also get a bike that's very special, but also now really enjoyable for normal people like us to ride.